So as we get into our video on Secret Wars Part 8, what we're going to do here is tie the events of previous issues into our discussion, which should allow for a smooth continuation of the story so far, but also cover any questions you might have along the way. So in the previous issue, we had talked about how following the death of Doctor Strange and the dispersing of the Earth-616 and Ultimate Universe heroes and villains across Battleworld, that over the course of several weeks, these various individuals had found their way into several camps, including Jane Foster in the Thor Corps, Carol Danvers and Mr. Sinister, and so on. However, these various threads all came together when Maximus the Mad, the inhuman brother of Black Bolt, began amassing an army to lead a revolution against Doom. Picking up in the midst of the battle with the Hulk's, Madeline Pryor's demons, and Sinister's clones, the story shifts its focus to Reed Richards from Earth-616, Reed from the Ultimate Universe, and Peter Quill. With a group intended to use the battle as a distraction to sneak into Castle Doom without anyone noticing, the trio set upon by one of the Hulks from Maestro's army. Where the actions of this particular Hulk result in the engines being destroyed, what this does is set up for the future encounter between 616 Reed and the rest of his family. From here, we jump to Maestro at Castle Doom and his attempts to draw out the good doctor. However, in the midst of his rant, he's met with the arrival of Ben Grimm. Now, in one of our previous videos, we had discussed how Thanos had discovered that the shield separating the Ultron robots, the zombies, and the Annihilation Wave from the rest of Battleworld was actually Ben Grimm himself. Where we learned that Ben's role as the Wall was a ploy by Doom to essentially force him out of the picture and allow the indoctrination of Susan Storm, Franklin Richards, and Valeria Richards. When Thanos had revealed the truth of his life prior to the collapse of the multiverse, Ben abandoned his role as the Shield, allowing Thanos to muster his own army. And so what this section brings to us is the final stop of Ben's journey, and that because he's seeking revenge against Doom, he's effectively taking out everyone that he perceives to be in his way, including the Maestro. Furthermore, where Susan Storm recognizes who Ben is, while he served as the Wall, Doom used that time to modify her memories and lead her to believe that she had always been married to Doom and that Franklin and Valeria were his children. To this end, Susan viewed Ben as a family friend whom they had fought alongside when they first gained their powers, but to her mind, Reeds never existed. Now during this time, we also see the return of Terrax the Enlightened. For those of you who never saw my videos on Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers, Terrax the Enlightened was a herald of Galactus from another reality, where the Illuminati of Iron Man, Black Bolt, Reed Richards, Doctor Strange, and Namor the Submariner attempted to save the Earth in the midst of an incursion. They had also imprisoned Terrax in the main Marvel Universe, where he escaped alongside Thanos during the multiversal collapse. And so his appearance here marks only a handful of times that he's actually shown up. But this appearance here is really just the result of his efforts to ally himself with Galactus. Now Galactus within the context of Battleworld is a little confusing and hasn't been fully fleshed out by Hickman. On one hand, he seems to be under the control of Franklin Richards, but whether this is truly a version of Galactus being controlled or simply a construct of Franklin using his ability to warp reality is unknown. The only thing we really know here is that Terrax is considered an enemy of Doom, and as such, Franklin simply kills him as Ben Grimm watches on. And so with Ben stepping in to fight Franklin, the battle between the two of them is actually pretty even. Because this is largely a physical fight, the indication here is that even if this is Galactus simply under the control of Franklin, the full measure of his powers in controlling all things has been severely diminished. In addition to this, where Susan pleads with Doom to step in since ending this conflict is well within his abilities, he actually chooses not to. The reason why is revealed when Thanos arrives with the Annihilation Horde. To sidetrack for a second, the Annihilation Horde, or the Annihilation Wave as it was called prior to Secret Wars, is actually something that we haven't really talked about before. Led by a being named Annihilus, the Annihilation Wave first appeared during the Annihilation storyline and came with Annihilus's attempt to wipe out all life in the main Marvel Universe. Where his attempts were unsuccessful and the story ended with his defeat, at some point during the collapse of the multiverse, the Annihilation Wave was collected by Doom and housed on Battleworld, although we never actually see this happen. Something to also take note of here is that during the fight between Ben and Franklin, Ben learns that to Franklin's mind, he and Valeria are the children of Susan and Doom. Stopping the fight and taking a few moments to focus on this subject, the full extent of Ben's understanding of the world around him comes into play when the actions of Doom modifying the memories of Susan, Franklin, and Valeria goes deeper than he expected. In addition to this, because Susan was such an intricate part of his life and he has no desire to fight her son, Ben stands down, but rather than Franklin doing the same, he actually destroys Ben. Now switching back to Susan and Valeria, in our previous videos we discussed how Valeria's intelligence allowed her to piecemeal the evidence together, leading her to realize that her memories in relation to Doom were a lie. Working to uncover the truth regarding what happened to her father between the collapse of the multiverse and the start of Secret Wars, while Valeria is still piecing things together, from her perspective, this all seems to be a show by Doom in an effort to continue his deceit and control over Battleworld. And so, coming to the conclusion that Susan should be made aware of what's going on, Valeria intends to bring her mother to the location of Owen Reese so that he can inform her of the truth and everything that's actually going on. Transitioning back to Star-Lord, in the midst of his repair of the ship in order to ensure that he and the Reeds can escape once their mission is finished, he's met with the arrival of Black Swan. Now again, her character is one of many women during the multiversal collapse who went by the name Black Swan and served Doom in his efforts to kill off the multiversal versions of Owen Reese. But following the Great Collapse, she had escaped alongside Thanos and eventually made her way to Doom after the survivors of the Earth 616 and Ultimate Universe were dispersed across Battleworld. And so because Black Swan served Doom with unwavering loyalty prior to the end of the multiverse, during Secret Wars and on Battleworld, she serves with the same level of loyalty. Now where Peter talks a good talk, because Black Swan has super strength, telepathy, flight, and several other abilities, Star-Lord is outclassed in virtually every way. And so backed into a corner and with seemingly nowhere to go, Peter makes a last-ditch move by revealing a single splinter of wood. Throwing it at the tree of Yggdrasil from the remains of Asgard, it's revealed that the splinter was the last surviving piece of Groot. Merging itself with the World Tree, Groot effectively reforms and in the process, destroys the whole of Castle Doom. Now switching back to the battle and the arrival of Thanos with the Annihilation Horde, the confrontation between himself and Doom is actually pretty short here. What Hickman does is continue to build on the arrogance of Doom and that to him, the entire scheme of Thanos in collecting the Annihilation Horde was a waste, since Doom does not consider them to be of any importance. In addition to this, Doom is under the impression that Thanos can be bought and that Doom offers to make him the Baron of the Waste beyond the wall, assuming that he stands down and walks away. However, Thanos himself also holds hubris in that he makes the case that where he once held absolute power in the form of the Infinity Gauntlet, rather than using it for his own personal desires, he used it to sit as judge for all things in existence. Now to be honest, Thanos is actually telling a bold-faced lie here. While his time with the Infinity Gauntlet did see him usurp the role of eternity as the supreme being in the universe, the entire basis behind his acquisition of power came from the desire to please Mistress Death. And so while there may be truth to what it is that he's saying here, the actual fact is that when digging a little deeper, Thanos' motivation for the Infinity Gauntlet was completely human, and that he was rooted in the pursuit of love. And so where he makes the argument that he doesn't need an Infinity Gauntlet to take out Doom, this claim proves to be a false one when Doom seizes Thanos and completely disintegrates him. Now if I can be a little dangerous here, I think Hickman is actually setting the stage for the return of Mistress Death. The reason being because as a physical embodiment of what it means to die, she was the only cosmic entity that couldn't be killed when the Beyonders began the conquest of wiping out all life. While I'm probably wrong about this, at the very least, I think the death of Thanos will go towards something bigger since this seems to be too much of a throwaway for a Hickman story. And so as this issue comes to an end, following the death of Thanos, the battlefield is met with the opening of the Siege Courageous, with zombies pouring in from the gateway. Because the Marvel zombies are able to infect anyone with the zombie plague regardless of what power they possess, the immediate reaction is one of fear and that everyone could easily be converted if they were infected. But the mastermind behind these actions is revealed when Black Panther makes his presence known while wielding the Infinity Gauntlet, setting the stage for the confrontation and the end of Doom and Secret Wars issue number 9. With that being said, we're going to bring this video to an end, and let me know what you guys think about the Secret Wars story so far. Are you guys enjoying it? Are you guys looking forward to it ending? Because I know I am. And I will catch you guys later. Peace.